What's going on, everybody out there? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional, aka Soul Brother #1, reporting for duty. And tonight we have a powerful bill, man. We have the Unity. I called it the Unity Conference. That was just something that came to mind. I said, let me just name it that, and that's what it is. So we have the brother Cozmo L, Islam to the Moor,
Islam
National Grand Sheik of United MSTA. And then we have the God Be Knowledge from the 5% Nation. Peace to the God.
Peace.
and the Earths.
And
exactly.
Can't forget to the Earth. Can't forget the Earth. Peace to Assalamu alaikum to Minister Kevin Ali.
Wa alaikum salam.
All right. So now I want to get straight to it. I want to address the elephants in the room first before we go into any other questions, right? So there are with these three groups, there are elephants. Okay. I'm going to start off with Kevin Ali. In regards, okay, so Kevin Ali, what's your take on the NOI members taking issue with the 5% Nation due to the fact that 120 comes from supreme wisdom?
That is a phenomenal question. Had you asked me that question 30 years ago or 35 years ago, 38 years ago, when I first became a registered member of the Nation of Islam under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I would have answered it much differently. I will say this. After 1975, we all know that the messenger Elijah Muhammad's blood son, Wallace D. Muhammad, told all the registered members to get rid of the lessons. He told them to throw them away. He told them to burn the lessons. Now, yes, I understand why many members, followers of the messenger said, well, it was wrong just to take them to the streets. It says right on the lessons for registered Muslims only. However, had the gods and the earths not picked up those lessons, I can't say cause and effect. I will say we know they picked up those lessons. They memorized those lessons. They kept those lessons alive and well. I liken the 5% nations and the nation of gods and earth somewhat to the Sunni Muslims who kept the Holy Quran pure. That's the history. They kept the lessons pure. They kept it memorized. You can't make somebody throw away what's in their mind and memorized. You can always tell them to throw away a book, but you cannot make them. So because of that, those lessons were kept and prepared and put into the minds of our people. So I would have answered it much different 30 years ago, but I see the ultimate wisdom on why that actually took place post 1975. And thank Allah that it did take place. Who knows where we may have been if it had not.
Check. That was easy. Anyone want to chime in on that?
I want to hear the other brother's opinion as well. I'd love to hear it.
So the question was, to Kevin Ali, I posed the question, what's your take on some of the NOI members taking issue with the 5% Nation due to the fact that 120 comes from supreme wisdom?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Only thing I have to say to that is that nobody from the NOI that is rooted in the understanding of Elijah's teachings would even have a problem with that in the first place. So anyone that really know what they're talking about would never have an issue in it. I understand for registered Muslims only what he said. So when we talk about, building nations of our own and what Allah did, as the father of our nation, like the flag, that was another, act of that emancipation, and building your own. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna go do what? My own thing with it. However, what I will say to that is he never had an idea of separation in the sense of they aren't my brothers. Contrary to popular belief, you know what I'm saying? Allah loved the messenger, you know what I'm saying? And he was very, very fond of his teachings. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken those teachings to the streets, it only makes sense. So he absolutely loved what the messenger taught. the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And brother Kevin is right in the fact that we definitely held on to those teachings. See, what a lot of brothers don't know is what Malcolm and what Elijah in those days taught in there. That's what Allah taught out there. What they taught in there, he came. It wasn't just the lessons that he brought. He brought the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to the streets. Right? It was just digested by a different audience. It wasn't the middle class professionals that Elijah was reaching. So yeah, I don't think that anyone who is truly rooted in the understanding of those teachings would have a problem with us having the lessons, even though they come from supreme wisdom, because we're not denying that. We bear witness that what the last degree in the 1 to 40 tell you. These 40 questions, are questions and answers asked by W.F. Muhammad and answered by Elijah Muhammad when the lost found the wilderness in North America, February 20th, 1934. However, that was 1934, and everyone had the lessons since then. However, it wasn't until 63, 64, the law looked in those lessons and said, someone is what? A 5%er. So who's the messenger talking about? And if we know that the scientists, right, which Elijah is supposed to be at the level of intelligence of this, that they predict history years in advance, then Elijah answering those questions was supposed to know who was to come. And he told in that knowledge equality degree, who is the 5%. So I'll say that to that. Peace.
Peace. All right. Kevin Ali, would you want to chime in on that?
No, I would tend to agree with the brother. One thing I would add and clarify, though, I would disagree slightly that the Messenger's movement was a middle class movement. That the Messenger really went after the man in the mud. Islam found its home in prisons. Islam found its home. The educated class didn't even start really even listening to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad until maybe approximately late 1970, 72. But it was definitely not a middle class movement. Now, of course, were there some middle class of our people who accepted? Of course. But in general, it was not a middle class movement under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, of course, that's different today.
Oh, what's the difference today?
Well, under the various groups that claim to be the Nation of Islam, you will see many more people who have college education, who have come and been exposed,
Yeah.
and a lot of that is due to the gods and the earths, because a lot of them went on. You will find they went on to study in higher education, particularly and excelled in mathematics. You got a lot of gods and earths who have their masters, who have their doctorates in mathematics, which is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that his followers should do. Get degrees in building sciences, not in sociology, psychology, but in building sciences, mathematics, physics, chemistry, astronomy, those types of courses. And those are the types of courses the latter gods and earths post 1975 started leaning towards as they went into college.
Peace, Kimi. Now, anything you want to add on to that, God?
No, I don't disagree that, the messenger's teachings was rooted. Oh, I see he was trying to talk. I think he's muted.
All right.
Islam,
I don't disagree.
Islam, yeah.
Islam, no, I think they thoroughly addressed that particular topic.
All right. So, but indeed, be knowledge, you had something to say?
No, I was just saying that I don't disagree that the messenger's teachings was also rooted in the mud in the prison yards, but I definitely, aside from middle class professionals, I guess that's what was more propagated and what they were more known for. I ain't gonna say that's what they were strictly consisted of, because that's definitely not true. So I agree with them. Middle class and middle aged more so, which is more inclined to have your shit together more, So that's so they can save those funds a little better.
All right. So we're gonna move on to Cozmo L. What's your stance as it pertains to Moors having issue with the Nation of Islam because of the fact that it's said that the Nation of Islam was inspired by the MSTA and Elijah Muhammad and Master Farad came out of the Moorish Science Temple, and according to science, black means death. According to the MSTA of A, however, Elijah Muhammad taught that the black man was God throughout the whole doctrine.
Mm-hmm. Islam.
Islam.
Well, you have that's about 3 questions in one. So I'll do my best to address it. Insofar as more is having an issue with the topics that you speak about, primarily the first one about the Nation of Islam either being inspired or coming out of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I think the issue with that is mainly just uh, looking for an acknowledgement. Acknowledgement that there was some teachings and some inspiration and some coming out of the Moorish Science Temple of America, which you know up until recently hadn't been substantiated historically. Actually, it has been for if you were in those circles where you would know. But when Farrakhan at say around 2014, I think it was, when Savior's Day, he had the banner with Noble Jew Ali in the middle, and he addressed the subject and saying that honoring Prophet Noble Jew Ali and him bringing the message to America. If you were in the circles of the Bilalians or the former Nation of Islam or the American Muslim Mission under Warif Deen Muhammad, the son of Elijah Muhammad, he spoke on it various times on how the original Fruit of Islam uniform was the uniform of the Moors, the red fez, the blue suit, and even the messenger's brother John Muhammad still wore uniforms similar to that with the red fez and the blue suit. So it had been acknowledged by various people who would know. However, it was denied emphatically up until, excuse me, coming over. I'm in Hawaii out here vending, so that happens every now and then. However, when the Savior's Day, it was acknowledged by Minister Louis Farrakhan that kind of served as that acknowledgement, and it's just a fact. It doesn't take away from the messenger. It doesn't take away from any of the actions on what they did. But I think acknowledgement of the root is what issues Moors have. Coming from California, Moors and the Nation of Islam, we've always got together and got along and done things. So it wasn't so much of a problem for us in that region. Secondly, as far as black according to science meaning death, I think that in order to understand that, we have to know what science, right? Because obviously when you're dealing with the black carbon atom and you're dealing with carbon being the building blocks of all life, that does not apply. So we have to understand what science is being dealt with. And that science that is being dealt with is political science. Black as a term for identity or I should say, nationality has its meaning within the construct of the United States of America, and always has historically, being associated with the slave class and laws stemming the black codes and other aspects. We have to also understand not just black, but white, right? Because white means purity. Purity means God. God means ruler of the land. And so these are symbolisms that have been anthropomorphized. The European anthropomorphized white being purity and applied it to his race. And so now, when around the time when the Elijah Muhammad, Messenger Elijah Muhammad comes, with the dialectical aspect of it, turning that concept on its head and showing all the positivity related to black as opposed to its negative connotations in the dictionary. However, when it comes to the political status, whether it be Moors are familiar with the term Negro, and most people would not accept the term Negro at this point in time. However, black is just the English word for Negro. So we have to know the science and politically what it means in the United States of America to use that term politically, socially, and economically. However, so another thing I like to add, when you talk about the Black Power movement, the more say, well, how can you support Black Power? Because it are the so-called Black people that are the disenfranchised that need the power. And as a Moorish American Muslim, I know that we have the solution, not saying we exclusively have, everyone has solutions, but I'm talking about our solution to help get our people misnomering under the caste status of Black to the power. So I think it comes with understanding the doctrine, understanding what it means. When the messenger came, it was the Asiatic black man, right? So, that term Asiatic had another connotation. It was differentiating between other Asiatics, and at some point it ended up just being black. So when it comes to black and its association with death, it's dealing with political science, it's dealing with nationality in the concept of nation, statehood, and citizenship and bloodline, as opposed to just an overall identity and being associated with life and the black carbon atom and the universe and all of these things. All of these things are exactly true. So I think we just have to pinpoint what is exactly being said and create dialogues like this so that ones can not have conflict with one another and understand what we're talking about. I don't mean to be long-winded, but you do have those that will say, hey, the messenger Elijah Muhammad took it off nationality and went into black. We can see the economic and the social and political solutions that he demonstrated and that were multi-successful. And you have to realize at that time, Moors were in a lot of trouble. Moors were out there doing things that they shouldn't have been doing, that was bringing a bad name upon the movement. And so that type of disassociation would only be natural. And we judge someone by the fruits of their labor, and based on the fruits of the labor, no one can argue with that.
Islam. So more real quick before we move on to be knowledge, because I just want to make knowledge born on this, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is, right, there are Moors out there right now, probably a small group, maybe 20, maybe 50. I don't know how big it is, right? It's big or small, right? There's a group who looks at the Nation of Islam as their enemies.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we deal with that when we're trying to move forward on this unity?
Islam, you have Moors out there that see other Moors as their enemy. So it's the mentality of the people. We have to realize,
and other Muslims as Muslim enemies.
Islam. So we're not trying to unite everybody. We're trying to unite the righteous. You see, because if we unite with everybody and they haven't cleaned up, then they're going to bring that same sickness into whatever we build in. And so I think we have to pinpoint that it's not going to be for everybody, but we don't need everybody to show and prove and to show that the teachings that we all have can be used in an uplifting way to uplift ourselves, our people, and our community. And then that will be the proof. It's not going to come in the scholastics. It's not going to come in the lip service. It's going to come in the demonstration. And so there are going to be those, some of them hired, some of them provocateurs, some of them not, some of them just in their own lower self and ego. But they're going to be there. You never get your good without it's that mixture of evil. But if we pinpoint who we're looking for, the righteous, those who have a positive mindset, those who are looking to heal, end the generational curses and come together, then we can get that work done.
Indeed. That's peace.
Brother Ron, were you moving on to another subject, or may I add into that?
I was gonna move on to be knowledge, but yeah, you can go.
Oh no, I mean, if it's the
No,
same one,
no,
be
add
now,
to it, add to it, add to it,
first.
add to it.
Well, I was going to say, I'm not a representative of Minister Louis Farrakhan, or the Final Call Incorporated, so I can't speak on what they say. But I can say that there were two people in particular that Messenger Elijah Muhammad had great reverence for, who were not, quote unquote, members of his movement. He said they were fine Muslims, and he didn't just say this one time, and that was the Honorable Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali. I never saw the messenger fail to recognize that they were forerunners of his. And I never saw the messenger fail to recognize it in many ways, quote unquote. That's like saying the Nation of Islam came out of Orthodox Islam. Well, of course it comes from that foundation. So I've never seen the messenger fail to recognize that. And I would also add in on the subject of the black. What Messenger Elijah Muhammad was describing when he called us black was not a color. It wasn't what you would see on the black crayon out of the Crayola crayon box. He had a limited time to explain. Think more along the lines of what the color is in the universe devoid of light. Scientists call this a completely different thing than a color. Some call it a dark matter. Some call it a cosmic void, dark space. Think more along that line, because that is what, according to our teachings, what the first God emerged from was that. And for people who are not scientific people, the best way to describe that, and not talking to scientists, is to call it black. But it has much more meaning than just that. Just like we have English Oxford Dictionary and you have Black's Law Dictionary. You got the same words in them dictionaries, but they mean completely different things. So I would have us delve further into that. And it wasn't even a nationality. I think you mentioned the nationality of Brother Cosmo L, Asiatic. And then he specified it further, Asiatic blackness. I just wanted to add those things in just for the general thought.
Yes, sir.
Peace. All right, now be knowledge. We're gonna go to this now. I had to save your question for last. Okay, now you ready? All right. Now, what's your thoughts on the history between both the MSTA and the Nation of Islam in regards to the nation and their dealings with the conflict with both schools of thought? Because right now there's like a strong push to keep Allah's teachings pure. Right? There's a strong push to keep Allah's teachings pure. And over the years, probably before we were born or when we were really young, we had Moors go around the 5% nation. We had the NOI had minor run-ins with the with Allah's 5%. What do you know about that, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, peace. That could be vast, However, what I would say, because you zoned in on whatever reason behind whatever problem somebody has with either the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or anyone that is in the camp of Noble Drew Ali and is, however they express that. I would say that if you have a problem with that, just like I answered the last question, then you're probably not sure of the purity of Allah's teachings in the first place. I'll give an example. Uh, I just left Parliament yesterday, right? So we've been having Parliament the last Sunday of the month since 1967, nonstop, right? And at the Parliament, some Muslim, I ain't gonna get into it, but Muslim brothers walk by, right, from the Nation of Islam. If you know that they live up the street. Temple number 7 is up the street. We 2122 Adam Clay Powell Boulevard. We right on the corner, 126 right over there, and they right up there on, what is it, 127? So a lot of people would feel that Allah didn't deal with other said groups or other said people. But I'll give the example I'm about to give for the Nation of Islam. God Supreme, right? ABG spoke on this too, and a couple other brothers did. They got up and spoke after. right? Because there was an issue with a couple of brothers had problems with the gods was building with the Muslim brothers as they walk by, just as we regularly would do, and they seen it as invasive. You know what I'm saying? However, like God Supreme, and I know this history, but he reminded me and pulled me to the side that there was times when Allah was around, he had a Muslim teacher teaching Arabic in the school to his 5%ers.
Mm.
So for one, he wasn't so dogmatic in the sense of you can't get something from somebody else because of how they're thinking. You know, that was never his thing. So when I say that if they have a problem, to keep it simple, if anyone has a problem with anyone from Moorish science or anyone from the Nation of Islam coming amongst us, one, I give the example of Parliament because everyone's welcome at Parliament. That's known. Mayor Lindsay was amongst us at Parliament. Different state and city representatives were amongst us at Parliament. That's how we got the property we're on now. So as long as no one's trying to disrupt or what we got going on as far as the foundation of our teachings, it's never a problem. Now, brothers feel that that's what's going on. That's what we lead. That's what your question is. Brothers feel that that's going on because they're not sure of the purity of Allah's teachings in the first place.
Mm.
They don't know that Allah would have not had a problem with anything either of those groups were saying. Because one, how you gonna have a problem with someone who deal with the lessons? That's easy right there. That's easy there. And then when it comes to more science, really it comes from brothers being misunderstood. And now I'll give this out. And for those who don't know, that's amongst me. You take it or leave it. You know who I am. If you look at that flyer you put up about, with Brother Cosmo, myself, and Brother Kevin, right?
Mm-hmm.
The founder of our universal flag was designed in the spring of 1966. It was admitted to Allah as a gift when he came home in 1967. He walked out on the block of where our school was from what he was doing, and Universal Sham God opened up canvas paper, and it had the flag on it. It was just a gift as a drawing of the universe. And he said, "Son, that's our flag." But if you look at what Sham God did, and everyone should get the answer to this question after this. If you look at what Sham God did, you see that seven on circle seven, right? You see that crescent moon and star on the Nation of Islam flag. If you take that to the left of me and you take that seven to the right of me and you put them together, don't you see our universal flag in the middle? So
For
I'll
sure.
say my teachers knew what they was doing, and that's how I'm taught. I don't know about these other guys, but yeah, we say that's we the Asiatic black man. And if you don't got a problem, it's because you can't see. That's how our father broke down Asiatic is ASIATIC. He said, "As I at I see." Peace.
Peace, peace. All right. So now I wanted to kind of like get into it a little bit. I just want we can make knowledge born on this because this actually happened. There was a time where born mastermind went around the school. I don't know Cosmo L if you know about this. There was a time where born mastermind he was coming around the school. He was teaching in the school, and he brought some Moors there, and whatever the Moors were doing there, the guards didn't like it. So, and then that kind of out. Was that a viral thing online? I think that went kind
It
of viral.
was, but do you have
Yeah,
like a specific question on it?
yeah, indeed, indeed. So,
Mhm.
yeah, just let me land. So, my point is that the brothers went to the law school, causing a disturbance, pretty much. Not saying born mastermind, some of the Moors, right? They went there, caused a disturbance that went viral. Do you think that further cause more strife between or misunderstanding between the Moors and the 5% nation?
Yeah,
Say the
so
last part again. Do I think what?
oh, who
No,
is it? You asking him or
yeah,
me?
no, I'm asking be knowledge.
Oh, all right, all right.
Okay, yeah. So basically, there was a brother who was amongst us, and he didn't go from amongst us willfully. He was sincerely trying to build with the nation. His name was Born Mastermind Allah, and he's out of Jersey. And he started. Nobody. One, the issue was that nobody really knows him, and even in any politics in any nation, You can't really be like a stranger amongst the people and get up and all of a sudden, want to be one of the head leaders and all this. It's just not going to go well. You can't just pop up in the crowd, hey, I'm going to start doing this, and nobody know who you are. So one, long story short, he came amongst the nation and he was trying to introduce. I'm clear that the Moors like had anything to do with disruption, because it wasn't that Moors came in there disrupting anything. It's that Born Mastermind had permission to do classes in a law school in Mecca, and he was teaching biology, food science, diet, and he was introducing principles of nationality and birthright. He was introducing rights of indigenous people. He was introducing going amongst all the human families of the planet Earth, right? And being recognized by, who we want to be, and having rights to this claim through, various standards of the international community, right? So he was introducing this in the school, and what appears to be Moorish science, what I'm saying, is really just universal law. So when you see universal law and a fez, or you see universal law, right, and a brother who says his name is X, Y, and Z, what happens is you mistake it for an invasion when it may be someone who's just doing the knowledge. So those brothers was just in Born Mastermind class for one, and they were very new young brothers that weren't a part of any particular organization or group, or they were just brothers who were in appearance and apparel, in the name of more science. And Born Mastermind started to come with the nationality and birthright teaching. Long story short, and he introduced it as something we should do as far as our recognition and going to United Nations, and how we, as the 5%, having a history of political relations with this country and so on, we could get this done. We have a flag, we have says, and so on and so on. And being that brothers always feel that if you introduce anything that any other cipher is building on, they feel it's an invasion on the law's teachings. When saying you are when saying you should be moving, like, I don't have to break it down because Brother Cosmo already broke down with Black. So, in basically giving that breakdown to Black, basically, is what he did, and brothers didn't like it. Not brothers, I'll clear this up. I'm gonna end on this because it was never a real problem in the nation. That's negative propaganda. It was never a real problem in the nation. Every older brother in the nation, I mean, brothers that's 70 plus, nobody had a problem with his demonstration, right? No one had a problem with that. It's just he didn't come amongst the elderly council because he assumed we were disorganized, and he assumed we didn't have the proper protocols and structure and ranks and people that are around, because how informal it may seem from outsiders. So him, oh, I'm a young brother, I'm going to save the nation. He thought he was just going to get up at Parliament, and it wasn't a bunch of brothers in line already. Like, oh, it's checks and protocols. Who you think you are? I'll say that for one. And so it was never a problem with like Moors invading the teachers. That was never a thing. It just got assumed to be that because there was some fezzes in the crowd when the controversial video was going around. And two, we have this thing I'll clear up. When we say older gods, the gods, the gods, the gods. This middle age group of dudes that came around from popularity and rap and the streets and so on and so on, they don't represent the gods. They're not the gods, quote unquote. So every brother that you see online saying whatever, or every brother you see at the school that may be building, doesn't represent who we are. I'm speaking for Binaj Allah. You know what I'm saying? However, those that know, right? I speak with authority. Not everyone that you see getting on their born mastermind don't speak authority with authority when it comes to this teachings. So to answer that question, it was never an actual beef. And when you further ask, did it further like put strife between the groups? It did, but it wasn't the intention or the fault of Born Mastermind or anyone that came there. But if you understand propaganda and media, Noble Ali, media is our greatest weapon, right? So when you understand that, you see how things can be twisted and manipulated, and it would have more say, I'm not dealing with them, and it would have God say, keep them away from us. But it was never really like that. So when someone say we don't teach that or we don't teach this, there's nothing that he actually said that we don't teach. Is really brothers just bullied him out of what they didn't agree with. Simple as that.
Since I have no knowledge of any of this, and I like to say, as a nearly 63-year-old brother, I guess I'm up there with what the brother classified as an old head. I know the show is a New Yorker's perspective. As a 40-year displaced Metro New Yorker from Orange, New Jersey, I don't come with none of them predisposed notions. I don't even know what you're talking about, brother. So I hope it all ironed out and worked out, because we didn't hear about it down in the South.
Yeah, there's no beef. It was just some viral videos that some Moors were around the school, and a brother that brought them to his classes. Some dudes felt disrespected by who he was bringing around, and by him teaching birthright and nationality and having a couple Moors with him who was just members of the class. There was 10, 20 other people that was members of the class that weren't Moors. I was there. I know I'm gonna end after this. I was there at the parliament when he got up and spoke. I spoke after him. And we talking this like 10 years ago. So, and I told you I was there 10 years ago and at the parliament yesterday. So I'm not just online talking from whatever. I was there at the parliament when he got up there with his cape on and in front of all the people. He said, "This is the new leadership of the 5%. We looking like, who the fuck is this guy? So that's why he got chased away, really, because of that approach. And it's not that his idea was wrong. He just didn't know what he was stepping into. Peace.
Peace. All right. Anybody want to chime in on that? Oh, hold on, Mo.
Unmute yourself.
I got you. Hold on.
All right, Islam. I'm like what Brother Kevin Ali said. We didn't get those memos out in California or anywhere up. That might have been something more local or something that was in that circle of people that were circulating those videos and stuff. And that's one of the things. A lot of times. Everybody wear fez is not a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Everyone put on a bow tie is not a member of the Nation of Islam. Everybody put on a black leather coat is not a Panther. People wear these things because of the work that has been put in, and because of the respect that people have in that Moors and people from the nation and other people have from demonstrating. And so, you have to be careful, especially when you're talking about unity. When you see someone in affairs or you see somebody in regalia that resembles an organization, and really vet them and find out, who are they really representing? Because this is how strife can start. And they'll send people in to do it. So, no more is going to walk up into any organization and do anything like that. Just like we wouldn't want anybody coming into a temple, a circle, a study group, a civic group, or anything like that. But we can build, we can build. And more importantly, what we need to be forming councils, because that's how you regulate those type of things and actually know who's who. So when a situation happens, you come back to the council where we all are and say, hey, these brothers, and then we handle nation business. So or just some type of dialogue. I like the word council, or some type of unity structure where we're all able to come together and build. And then when we go back to our respective jurisdictions, there's nothing lacking there. We still have our leadership capabilities. We still have everything is still intact. But we can come outside of our temples. We can come outside of our parliaments. We can come outside and form councils and other type of committees or things of that nature to do things on a more universal scale that benefits all of the groups. And that doesn't have to take away from what we're already doing in our locality or nationally. So as we graduate to these type of things, we'll be able to make sure that this type of strife can't be caused by anyone either within the community or people who are just influenced by the teachings of the community and glean what they can from online and know where to buy the proper outfits.
Islam. So real quick, man, I just want to address this in the chat because this is kind of annoying me a little bit. All right. and I'm being honest. So, brother Salam Allah alternate channel. The flag, or not even a flag, the painting behind the god looks like his child drew that. Did your baby make that?
I told you I just left the parliament. I live in North Carolina. I'm
Oh,
not
right.
even home. You know, one, I'm not even home, and two, this is something my nephew wrote that says Roy G. Biv on it, literally. It's literally says red, orange, yellow, green, blue. It literally says that on there. It's literally a rainbow. So I've been ignoring that the whole time. It's literally a rainbow, like literally.
Where in North Carolina?
I'm right outside Charlotte.
Oh, brother, we got to hook up and get some bean pie, some coffee or something, brother.
Yeah. I'm in Concord. I'm right here.
I'm right in the Mallard Creek area.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's where I get off of work because I work around Cocker Mills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's peace. That's
peace.
That's peace. So as far as what was the name that you gave Cozmo L, like a unity federation or
Council, yeah.
Council, committees, federation.
Okay, now how would we go about doing that though? Like coming from your temple, be knowledge coming from where you coming from, Minister Kevin Ali. How would that be created? How can we do that? Like I would say go on the basics, the commonalities, right? In the teachings. Would you want to go with that, or how would you create something like that?
Islam, I think that number one, we have to understand that no nation of people has population that all agree on everything and think alike. Like El Haj Malik El Shabazz said, that don't even happen in Hollywood. So what we have to realize is that we can have these differences. These differences is what makes the community great. The sheep know the sound of their shepherd's voice. So people are going to gravitate where they're going to gravitate to. So for us to think that we'll all think alike and agree alike won't work. So what I would say that we would need to work on is, instead of unity of mind, unity of ideology, and unity of thought, unity of purpose, unity of need, right? We all need our own hospitals or health clinics. We all need our own food. We all need our own farms. We all need our own construction companies. We all need to be having that economic power and prowess. We all seek that. So in a sense, there are some core aspects of our ideology that we could unite on, but it may not be universal for everyone's ideology, but we all need these as a people. We need to focus on if we nation of gods and earth, nation of Islam. Moorish Science Temple is a nation, right? Nation of Moors. So what we do is need to focus on nation business, nation building. You look at the Asians when they have their meetings and they start doing kung fu on each other. People, in the European power structure, the union they went to war, but they were still able to come together and form a more perfect union. We don't have that kind of bad blood. I don't care what happened. We really just don't have that kind of bad blood. So if we could pick one thing, or we could pick several things, and make it a 1-year plan, a 5-year plan, 2-year plan, and say, hey, this is what we need to get done for our people. Find out who has the abilities and the skills to do it, because we don't want just anybody. We want people that have the know-how, the knowledge, and the skill. We have those people. Focus on that. Get stuff done for our people and the purpose. So unity of purpose, in essence, is where I would start, and leave the ideology back to the individuals and their jurisdiction. When we leave, when we come together, we writing policy for the needs of our people. We're not trying to change other people's ideology and policy. So it's a very simple thing. It's been done all over the world by people who are in the same condition that we are in. It just takes those visionaries and those pioneers to say, hey, let's do it. get together, do it, and as people see the results, then you're going to have more people want to be involved, because a lot of people are sick of the talk. So they say, yeah. So we have to actually show and prove, and then we'll have more of a stronger voice within the community to get more people involved.
Indeed. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I definitely wanted to chime in to say that, Brother Ron, this is going to be your most well-liked broadcast and your most hated broadcast. I can tell you right now, there are people who are going to love what you're doing here, and there are people who absolutely hate what you're doing here. Oh, Cozmo L, he ain't no real Moor. Oh, B Knowledge, he ain't representing the nation of gods and earth. Kevin Ali, he ain't with the minister. How you gonna have that? What you cut? We're gonna hear all kind of crazy stuff but after this, all kind of crazy stuff. But the bottom line is, like Brother Cosmo L was saying, I would rather go eat at the MSTA steak and take or the 5% coffee shop than going out here to Murder King or McDeath's. Right. I would rather go spend my money there. I would rather go to the brother who's the mechanic who can fix my Lexus and be honest and deal fairly with me than go to the other one who may not deal so fairly with me. So I think we're starting it right now with this program here. That's why people are going to love unity, but there are also people among us who don't like unity.
You're right about that. Peace to Wiser Dome TV. Check out his channel. That God has a lot of powerful information on his channel. Check him out. Subscribe to that channel right there. Peace to the God. Peace. Thanks for the check-in. So the God be knowledge. You want to chime in?
Peace. Yeah, of course. It was well said by both of you. I definitely agree that united front, that council, you know what I'm saying, it's what you call also a collective, you know what I'm saying? A collective, a council. This is when you come together, and it is also open to individual basis, you know what I'm saying? They are members from every group as well as groups from every group, you know, that would be on board with something like this. We all know this, you know what I'm saying, that there's thousands and thousands of people who perfectly agree with all three of these people sitting here and what they teach, thousands everywhere, you know, that have been between all three, chose one for themselves, and that was their home, you know. So what I would say in that united front as a collective, we know that land is the basis of that, you know, but it would start as a think tank, what you call a think tank. I would say to keep the ball moving from here, that think tank, we know nations historically, businesses historically have come together in this type of same forum where they get together and they put their greatest minds and efforts towards, you know, whatever their goal may be. And I also will mention that we need to return to being semi-clandestine with our movement. You know, we need to return to our underground operations being operational and everything not being on the forefront besides the mass communications and unity. You know, there's different levels of media. There's the mass media, which is designed to propagate to get the masses towards your ideal, which is just unity in this case, right? And then there's what? There's the clandestine work, which we know is the boots on the ground. You may know that there's 1,000 acres, but you may not have the address, you know, unless you with everything. You
Right.
know, so the think tank on how that unified front, that council will start. I think a think tank could lead to that. And what he's saying about the council, I agree. Where people from every nation could be responsible, a responsible liaison. That's the word. A council of responsible liaisons between the group. So I know, okay, who I am, and people know who I am amongst the nation. Boom. Cosmo L. Boom. He's no Kevin. Okay, boom. Brother Kevin Ali. These brothers are a part of this council, and there's standards for that unification, of course, not just everyone is just in membership, but it just starts with something simple like this. A think tank, I think, is very, very possible, and we all give what we have to offer. Like what he said about farming. We could all unify on food. I always say food security being the basis of everything, and that food security is one and the same with land security. And for our stop, one example is like with this shirt I got on. I tie dyed this from indigo that I grew. So I grew the
Mm,
indigo, I fermented the plant, processed the pigment out of it, extracted the indican, and we created a mud paste that turned into a dye where you can dye, get a natural blue, non-invasive, non-toxic, non-chemical pigmentation right in your shirt and in your clothes. And blue can mix with any color and make a whole lot of things. So having that foundation, you see how we could go from land to fiber, from land to textile very easily. And everyone wear clothes, everyone can use blue dye. And saying that to also segue into how a unification amongst economics and food security is simple because indigo, right in America, in the South in particular, was a main commodity of export for a very long time. And it fueled the agricultural South, which, we know fueled the economic development of this country that we have today, So it's very simple how unity in agriculture for food security and unity in just us being in this situation we're in, and we're the conscious minds that choose to do something about it. So our people are more inclined to be with a group of us rather than one of us. Our people are more inclined to want to propagate for and want to advocate for a council such as this. Our people are more inclined to want to have a voting bloc, more inclined towards a council like this. Our people are more inclined to side with politically, food, militarily, as far as media is concerned, with a council like this, as opposed to the divisiveness. And more thing I'll say, I don't think that the divisiveness is Cosmo, forget how he said it, but he said it well. The we're not really fighting that bad. Whatever he said, like it's really not how deep how people think for us to unify. We really don't have that much bad blood, is what I think he said. Like it's really not there for us to have to not be able to come together. Like we don't teach that, or oh, we don't teach that. Oh, they're not nationalized, or they're saying black, or oh, they're saying nationality. They're saying not black, and all this really not that deep. I think those issues are more localized, and it's more really only known amongst and propagated amongst the people in those groups that have that problem, and it's not like a universal thing everyone has a problem with. See?
peace, peace. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad
Okay.
said that our unity is the key, and it is more powerful than an atomic weapon. And one way or another, we are going to unify, either voluntarily or we will be forced to unify. It's coming down the pike sooner than we think. We can't keep eating out of our common enemy's kitchen, his grocery stores, we can't do it. He soon is going to run out of food for his own millions of people. So we will unify one way or the other. I would prefer to do it voluntarily.
For sure. Cosmo.
Islam, I could only just echo the sentiments of the brothers. It's I do want to specify. Everybody don't have to be involved. You have a delegation that goes and that represents and that reports back to each organization. And then that way, and as progress grows, we monitor the progress. And if so, it doesn't take a lot. It's more like a Congress. You just have delegations, especially if it's going to be people outside of the three. You have delegations. Everyone knows nobody can have a problem with it because everybody will be participating in what is being created. See, a lot of times people have problems because people are inviting them to step into something already created. And so it's like, oh, wait a minute. Well, I don't agree with that part. I don't want to stop saying this. I don't want to start saying this back and forth. So When we focus on the purpose instead of the ideology, it eliminates all of that. And then we create that structure. We create those universal laws that's going to govern that structure. And since all of the delegations are in participation in creating it, then there's no reason to oppose anything. And so, again, it's a very simple process. Why hasn't it been done thus far? Because the lower self is strong, and a lot of times when we think that people are just doing things on their own, it's a concerted effort to keep us from this. Like the brother said, you're going to have people immediately try to discredit people or find some other ways to take away the impact of this conversation that we're having right here that just has the potential to be so much more. And so that's what's been being done all this time, and we just haven't been mature enough. And those people that are mature, they either ostracize them or get rid of them. And so we have to just realize that our people need us, but not all of our people know that they need us, and that we need to just start somewhere and show it, because it's simple, but it's when you see it done, then that's when you build it, they will come. And so all I can say is that, and just echo what the brother said.
All right. Now, I thought this was gonna go longer than what I expected. You brothers just answered just right and exact, clear, no problem. So before we cut out, anything you want to say, you want to get a message, a point across clearly before we cut out.
Islam, I like to say that, you know, our principles are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it makes no sense for us to not want to deal with one another when we're dealing with all the other nationalities in the world for everything we need.
Mm-hmm.
So if it doesn't make sense, why do we continue to do it? And we need to hold our supposed leaders accountable that prevent this from happening. Because if if we truly understand our teachings, and our teachings and the core of everything is to uplift, is to bring something better, is to build, then there's no way that we could be about disunity and be against unity. So if you find someone that is against unity, it's either you don't understand the lessons or who you working for.
Mm-hmm. Mm. That's peace. Anyone else?
I see this as a great first step. It may continue with something as simple as a simple business exchange. Who offers goods and services that we need in a particular area, that we can now get those goods and services from our brother rather than from the other? It may start as simple as that. At any rate, I think it's a great thing that you're doing, but there are people who don't want it to happen.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Be knowledge.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace. Yeah. I like what's going on. I would just encourage the panels to grow. I'm sure after this, many people will want to reach out to you doing the same thing, or adding on next time. I'm sure people from each group are now going to want to be on the podcast, and it's going to spread from here. But we need to keep those tentacles growing and growing, and keep, what I'm saying, the reach of our message strong. And I strongly agree with the message of it could just start as simple as a business exchange, and these delegations. I'm not asking anyone Nation of Islam to join the Moorish Science Temple. I'm not asking any gods or earths to go get their nationality, at least in that type of way, because I do say that we need to grow in that direction. I'm not asking anyone Moorish Science Temple memorize their lessons or anything like that. I'm saying that we can come together on that common ground, like we've been talking about all these times, in these delegations from each group, those that are qualified to speak, right, for their community, the same way, right, Shaka got everyone together, the same way Sunjata Keita got everyone together, the same way today you have European Union, African Union.
Yes, sir.
Nowadays you have BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa is coming up. So why can't we be BRICS? That's what I'll end on. Why can't we be BRICS?
Right.
They're
We
totally
can't.
different countries, economic plans, everything. We need to be BRICS.
Check, check, check. All right. That's peace. With that being said, man, you brothers did a great job answering precisely. No, it wasn't all over the place. That's peace. I really appreciate y'all for coming out this evening. I'm gonna say it on air. I sent the text to all three of you. I just sent the text to all three of you. You're in a chat right now. Just say peace or something like that in the chat. Now you have each other's contact. All right. And we are out of here. Thank y'all for coming out this evening, watching the show. And thank you, brothers, for contributing. Peace.
Peace. Peace.
Islam. Salam alaikum.
Islam. Salam alaikum.